Back in my previous life, my husband was straight up abusive, so I quietly dipped out with my daughter. I kept telling Mia not to spill where we were living. She promised, but still ended up telling my husband our address. That night, Noah cornered us at our rental and beat me to death. My girl was left in tears, feeling totally wronged. What did I mess up? All I wanted was a normal fam. All right then, in this life, you're gonna end up locked up with your good dad. When I got reborn, I was in the middle of packing to move. My hubby Noah? Total nightmare. He's vicious and a domestic abuser. Not only does he beat and yell at me during the week, but he also threatens that if I ever think about divorce, he'll kill both me and Mia. To escape Noah's wrath, I took Mia and bounced to another city while he was out drinking with his crew. Worried he'd track us down, I switched my phone number, cut ties with all my old fam and friends, and kept telling Mia to stay away from Noah for good. She nodded, but sneaked a message to Noah saying she missed her dad when I wasn't looking. Noah sweet-talked Mia a bit, easily got our new address, and chased us down that night. He kicked down our rental door and started beating me up. I couldn't fight back and ended up dead. This caused a huge stir locally. In interviews, Mia was heartbroken and cried, asking what I did wrong, just wanting a complete family. If my mom hadn't secretly run away, my dad wouldn't have been so enraged and beaten her up so badly. Later, in court, it was shown that Noah killed me by accident, not on purpose. He got sentenced for abuse, but was released after just 5 years. By the time Noah was out, his daughter had grown up. They were so wrapped up in their loving father-daughter bond that they forgot I even existed. It's tragic that my life was so messed up that I ended up using a hidden knife to stab myself from the inside. But hey, God has a way, and I was reborn. The anger inside me boiled over, making me shake with rage. Just then, the door swung open, and Mia, with her ponytail, walked in. She saw the half-packed suitcase on the floor, frowned, and said with some irritation, "Mom, you're not trying to run away with me again." She kicked the suitcase against the wall and continued without waiting for me to respond, "Mom, you're too weak. It's not easy for Dad to make money every day. He just hit you twice because he was in a bad mood. You keep causing problems. What if you run away again? If Dad finds you, he'll beat you up again." Hearing her cold words, the same as in my past life, my heart skipped a beat. The hatred ran deep. Before I could process, doubts surfaced. "You're the one always telling Noah where we are, right?" Maybe shocked by my intense look, Mia took a step back and mumbled, "If I don't tell Dad where we are quickly, do you still want me to be homeless forever?" I realized every time Noah beat me, I'd take Mia back to my mom's house. After my parents died, the old house was sold off by my brother and sister-in-law. With nowhere else to go, I hid with my daughter in a hotel. But no matter how remote, Noah always found us. I never understood how a regular bus driver like Noah had such tracking skills. Turns out this ungrateful daughter leaked everything. Old and new grudges piled up, and I lost control. I slapped Mia, something she'd never expect. She covered her face, eyes filled with hate. "You dare to hit me? I'll hit you back." I slapped her twice more. Seeing her red, swollen cheeks, my anger barely subsided. I muttered under my breath, "You're heartless. Get out." Mia glared at me fiercely. She was only 8, but her fierce demeanor mirrored Noah's. I kicked her out, fearing I'd lose control and harm her. Outside, she burst into tears, kicked the door, and cursed, "Wait, I'll call Dad and he'll beat you to death. Wait." I'd rather watch as this ungrateful daughter gets tortured by Noah, who favors boys over girls, without my protection. I looked down at the suitcase, mostly filled with clothes and essentials Mia needed. It's a shame I've worked so hard as a nanny all these years, but she doesn't even have decent clothes. Now, I don't need any of this. Thinking Noah would come back soon, I threw the suitcase stuff out and rushed out with only my ID and phone. I had a train ticket ready, but to avoid Noah, I bought a new one to a different city. Without Mia's burden, moving was smooth. 2 hours later, I boarded a plane, leaving the city I'd lived in for over 30 years. Unlike before, I didn't rush to ditch my old number. Instead, I kept it on the backup phone. Doesn't my ungrateful daughter think Noah's awesome? I want to see how she thrives under Noah without my efforts to hold the family together. I thought Noah would treat his daughter right since she tipped him off multiple times, but I was wrong. Once off the plane, my phone was flooded with messages. Opening my chat, the first thing I saw was Mia's bruised face with Noah's harsh words. "Emma, get back here now or I'll beat this money loser to death." Noah was abusing me and showed no mercy to Mia. The thing is, I always stood between Noah and Mia, saving her from harm. I thought she'd appreciate my sacrifices, but she didn't. Instead, she believed Noah only beat me, not her. The revenge hit too fast. In my past life, I'd have been suffocating with distress, but now I felt happy, a smile creeping on my face. I thought and finally replied, "She's your daughter. I believe you can take care of her. Come on." Sent the message and turned off the phone. The cycle of abuse was starting anew. I needed to rest and watch carefully. A week later, I turned on the backup phone again. Messages were piling up, over 500 missed calls. Swiping through, I saw a familiar yet odd number. Maria. Maria's my cousin's wife, and like me, she's trapped in domestic violence, beaten and yelled at daily. At the worst time, her husband threw her out the second-floor window, breaking her leg on the spot. Her cast wasn't off yet, and she had internal injuries. Given our similar tragic histories, Maria and I are tight, talking about anything on weekdays. Before I fled City A in my past life, I reluctantly messaged Maria to say goodbye. She kept asking to grab a meal before I left, but I refused, rushing for the train. Later, I found out after she got my message, she called Noah, who set a trap to catch me. If I'd gone to that meeting, I'd have been beaten to death that day without waiting for Mia to report it. Back then, I couldn't understand why she wanted to kill me so viciously when we were both abuse victims. Now, I get it. She beat me day after day, her mind twisted and corrupted. Only when I was beaten like her. And worse, did she feel relief and wouldn't let me escape misfortune. Like crabs in a barrel, if one tries to escape, the others pull it down, and they both end up fish on the sticky board. In short, Maria's like my daughter, repaying kindness with hate, both accomplices of evil. She should share in my revenge plan. It felt like psychological manipulation. While I was stunned, Maria called again. I curled my lips slightly and pressed answer softly. Maria didn't expect me to pick up. She was briefly stunned, then complained, "Where have you been, Emma? You don't even care about the kids. Do you know Mia was almost beaten to death by Noah? Just almost not killed? That's a shame." Thinking of Mia's fierce face when I left, I sighed and mocked her. Mia said her dad works so hard, and it's okay if he beats her a few times. Just endure it. It'll pass. Don't ungrateful daughters like to be generous to others? I gave her this chance. She should be happy, right? I know you've been wronged. Life has its ups and downs. Come back quickly, or it'll be too late if Noah gets mad. This was ridiculous. I couldn't help but respond. I won't go back. What can he do to me? No one can stay out forever. Maria sounded disappointed. Emma, you're usually smart. Why are you so confused now? Men are hot-tempered when young and won't fight after a few years. You're about to get out of this? Why so down? I was shocked by Maria's twisted logic. No wonder she was abused to the point of dangling from a window forever, never thinking to escape. Character determines destiny. Some people deserve their suffering based on their actions. Seeing I was silent, Maria thought I was convinced and became more forceful. Come back quickly, I'll convince Noah to beat you up a few times. Don't be ungrateful. Am I a mean person? Should I be grateful for being beaten? I laughed at her shameless remarks and said calmly, "If you want to live like this, go ahead. I'm different from you. I'm not a slut." Maria was taken aback by my response and instantly got furious. "Noah's been looking for you everywhere and threatened to dig up your parents' graves. Don't blame me for not warning you." These words felt familiar. In my past life, Noah had threatened me more than once but didn't follow through. He didn't dare. Though my brother was cold and didn't support me against Noah, he'd never watch him dig up my parents' graves. Otherwise, he'd be the town's laughingstock. If he's got the guts, go dig them. If not, he's a bastard. Knowing Maria's nature, she must have secretly recorded this audio, saying with pure contempt, "This is just the beginning. The internet's so developed now. He'd better go online and complain about me abandoning my husband and daughter." Maybe he'd become an internet celeb, selling stuff live to get rich. After that, she hung up. Yes, answering Maria's call was to make her deliver the last sentence to Noah. If God wants to destroy people, he makes them go insane first. Noah's a chronic complainer. Every time he beat me, he'd immediately kneel, slap his face, and beg for forgiveness. Such acting skills could be used more. I wanted to make him utterly disgraced, a street rat everyone hates. After turning off the backup phone, I went to the nearest supermarket, bought loads, filling our rental's fridge and cabinets. As expected, I was about to face my first human flesh search and cyberbullying. I could be exposed anytime walking the streets, so better stay home and watch the drama unfold. Not sure if Maria's message was too quick, or Noah was too eager to become an internet star and make bank. I thought even with my advice, it'd take 2 or 3 days to escalate, but I didn't expect it to blow up on Hot Search that night. In the video, Noah hugged Mia, who had repaid kindness with hate, and started his awkward act. The father and daughter cried, accusing me of alcoholism, beating and yelling at them nonstop, and not fulfilling my duties as wife and mother. They just dropped a few words, and I ran from home and vanished. To gain sympathy, they acted humble, repeatedly saying they knew they were wrong, and as long as I wanted to come home, they wouldn't stop me from drinking, nor fight or yell at me. At the end, they posted my recent photo and ID, fearing cyberbullying wouldn't be specific enough. Women drinking alcohol? Not in modern China, nor in history, it's rare and new. Noah couldn't say such nonsense without showing emotion. But online, minds differ. No matter how absurd, if the act is convincing, some believe it. Noah's tearful claims got much sympathy. Of course, most sympathy turned into backlash against me. Many suggested Noah divorce his daughter and stay away from scum like me. Noah once again showed his so-called good man nature, tearfully saying he loved me deeply. He cried on camera with snot and tears. "Wife, I know I don't make much, and you always look down on me for being useless. As long as you come back, I'll work 2 jobs every day and give you all I earn. Wife, it doesn't matter if you don't want to wash clothes or cook. I can do all that. Wife, I'll help the kids with homework and take them to school. As long as you stay with me, I'll listen to you." The daughter who repaid kindness with hate also cried, "Mom, I'll never eat snacks again. I'll study hard and help with housework. Mom, if you get angry and hit me again, I won't fight back or yell." Just kidding, we've been married for nearly 10 years. And when has Noah ever done housework? I have to ask him for the $2,000 monthly household expenses over and over, and then I get beaten before I can get it. As for the daughter who repaid kindness with hate, I've loved her since she was born. I'm not exaggerating when I say I'm afraid she'll melt if I hold her. Even if she's too naughty, I've never touched her. It's a pity I was too stupid in my past life. I always wanted to pull her out of the sea of suffering, but I didn't see she was an accomplice to evil. I was so angry I was trembling. I wanted to reach into the camera and tear apart the hypocritical, disgusting faces of Noah and the daughter who repaid kindness with hate. But it's not the right time yet. I have to wait a few more days. In the video, the nasty act continued. After crying her heart out, Noah asked netizens to help find me, offering rewards if they could locate me. Look, this A Loving Wife act is solid, so sad anyone watching it would cry. Miserable men always win sympathy easily, especially pitiful men. I watched Noah's new social account quickly rise from a few hundred to over 100,000 fans, still climbing. In the comments, netizens worldwide started searching for me. Every moment, photos of women matching my height and look were posted, asking Noah to confirm if they're his beloved wife. Unfortunately, they weren't me, and the results weren't great. Meanwhile, as Noah's account gained fans, some brands approached him wanting to leverage his popularity for live streaming and selling products. Everyone knows live streaming and online selling can make you rich overnight, but it usually takes time to build a solid persona and grow step by step. Noah lacked that long-term vision and soon started selling misery along with goods. Some people were disgusted, but others supported it, making his live streams quite lively. By selling misery, he enjoyed the perks of rising from an ordinary guy to a star overnight. I bet Noah's laughing in his sleep, right? Luckily, I was prepared and living in a small house, not leaving much. Walking the streets now could mean kind-hearted netizens might spot me, take pics, and send them to Noah. How to describe this? I can only say that sometimes not being self-righteous and meddling in others' business is kind. My online account is a small one with a new number, and no one knows it. My old phone's off, so even if messages got out, it doesn't matter. No one knows my current address. As long as I stay in, cyberbullying can't touch me. time to take action. Thinking of this, I turned on my spare phone, not used in ages, and sent Noah a message. Noah, you lied to kind netizens and got them to bully me online. Your conscience is gone. Noah kept his phone close and replied quickly. He wasn't a fool. He knew I might keep evidence if he messed up, so he started acting serious. Wife, you finally replied to my message. I was wrong, really wrong. Please come home soon. As long as you want to come back, I'll do anything for you. Then the phone rang. Even though I knew Noah was probably prepped to play the victim, I pressed record when answering. Noah's choked voice came through. Wife, I know you despise me for not making money and having no future. Now I'm an internet celeb and can support you. Please come back soon. His personality was unchanged. I thought I'd be so angry to tremble upon hearing his voice again, but instead, I stayed calm, took a deep breath and said coldly, Noah, lies are lies. You've given me so many scars over the years. Those scars won't lie. If I show up, I can easily expose your lies. Wife, what are you talking about? When did I ever beat you? Noah's tone sounded a bit guilty but controlled. Wife, I do this for our family's good. You don't want Mia to have a miserable life, do you? In his words, he threatened me with his daughter who repays kindness with hate. You've never loved me, let alone my daughter. We're just tools for you to vent your twisted emotions. While Noah was complacent, I threatened him coldly. Stop your clumsy act now, or don't blame me for exposing your ugly face and sending you to eternal damnation. After hanging up, I turned off the backup device again. Noah's a ruthless, incompetent coward, but his trust is so high he'd grab sudden wealth at all costs. He'd do anything to get rid of threats. I'm a time bomb that could expose his true colors any time. He'd do anything to eliminate me. But I hid too well, and he couldn't trace me. It was futile. Now he has two options. First, abuse his ungrateful daughter more so I, as a mother, can't stand it and give in. Second, find an illegal hacker to locate my phone. But the phone's off, so even a hacker couldn't help. Compared to that, it's easier to beat up the ungrateful daughter. She relies so much on her good father and trusts him. For his fame and wealth, she'd gladly get beaten a few more times, right? I curled my lips into a happy smile. The game is all set and I've got nothing left to do. Every day I just chill at the rental place, munching and sipping at my own pace. I keep an eye on the trending hot searches now and then, and I'm always watching the house. Yeah, in my past life, I never let go of the idea to divorce Noah. To gather proof of his domestic abuse and stack the odds in my favor for the divorce case, I had quietly set up a hidden camera at home. Things spiraled out of control after that. I almost ran away with my daughter, who turned my kindness into pure hatred, and didn't get around to removing the camera. Living my life again, I suddenly remembered it when I boarded the plane. That's why I used Maria's words to hint for Noah to post his misery online. News spreads like wildfire these days. Noah is definitely going to get even more ruthless after tasting the fame of being an internet star. That kind of ruthless side is exactly what I'm waiting for. It's human nature to get cocky, and Noah is the epitome of that. When he was at his peak, his whole personality fell apart. Everything he just gained burst like a bubble, and he turned into a rat everyone wants to stomp on. The most heartbreaking sight. What I want is to beat Noah to death with a stick, so he can't rise again in this life. Maybe he suffered too much in his past life, and fate is on my side in the shadows. I initially just aimed to capture videos of Noah abusing me and my daughter, who turned my kindness into revenge, but never thought that the misery he sold online was all filmed in the living room with a high-def camera. I saw Noah crying on camera while holding his daughter, who had flipped from kindness to hatred just moments before. After turning off the video, he shoved her aside and started yelling and beating her up. Noah has been abusing me for years. It's just become his habit. He threw my ungrateful daughter to the ground, and before she could get up, he kicked her hard, cursing, "You useless money loser, hurry up and cook me something good. You're messing up my drinking time, I'll beat you to death. Dad, don't be mad, I know." The ungrateful daughter had been getting beaten by Noah these days. Her body was bruised and blue. She became timid and didn't dare to fight back. She quickly got up and headed to the kitchen. Before she reached it, Noah snapped again in a bad mood. "After you cook, keep calling your mom. No matter what it takes, find her. If she doesn't show up, I'll throw you out the window." When he said this, Noah's fierce face looked downright demonic. If it wasn't for him keeping his ungrateful daughter, he would have thrown her out by now. The daughter, who turned kindness into revenge, trembled and put on a slightly forced smile. She said with all her might, "Don't worry, Dad, since Mom can answer your calls, it means she'll read the messages on that phone." I lied to her, saying I couldn't think of committing suicide by cutting my wrists. I downloaded a picture from the internet of someone who had committed suicide by wrist cutting and sent it to her. "If you feel sorry for me, you'll definitely come back soon. No one knows how much I love my daughter, who has turned my kindness into revenge." And his face softened a bit after hearing this. The daughter, eyes full of hatred, gritted her teeth and said, "Mom ran out regardless, trying to ruin Dad's money-making schemes. Damn it. If she comes back this time, Dad will definitely beat her to death." I thought my daughter, who turned kindness into revenge, was just arrogant and selfish, but I didn't expect her to be so vicious. To avoid Noah's beatings, she even lied to get me back, without caring about my life. Also, in my previous life, if she had left earlier and called someone to rescue me, I wouldn't have been beaten to death by Noah. Living my life again, fortunately, I woke up in time and decisively let go of her, or else she would have killed me again. "You deserve it. Lock yourself up with your good father and there will be many benefits in the future." I sneered happily. I kept the evidence and exited the monitoring. There was so much evidence that it took me 2 whole days to sort it all out. In those 2 days, Noah kept adding drama to his story, selling his misery online, and even acting like a pro. He claimed he had a heart attack thinking about me and knelt down publicly in live broadcasts, begging me to come back in a low voice. I couldn't believe there was still such a loving and loyal man out there. It's easy to snag a priceless treasure, but hard to find a true lover. More and more people praised Noah, and others gave him rewards to boost his traffic and popularity. Occasionally, there were a couple of skeptics, kneeling down and crying for forgiveness every chance you get. Isn't this the typical behavior of a domestic abuser? Maybe he's not what he claims to be. Yes, don't jump to conclusions. Maybe there'll be a twist. Rational folks are still a minority, and soon they got drowned out by the masses supporting Noah. Noah grew more arrogant and started having ambiguous relationships with his female colleague, Angela, more frequently. He even openly brought Angela home to have an affair under the guise of repaying kindness with enmity, claiming his daughter was still young and needed care. In front of Angela, Noah said he was tired of me, and after dragging all the dirt on me and ruining my reputation, he'd file for divorce, use the victim's image to become an internet celebrity, make money, and marry Angela grandly. All of this was caught on the camera I installed at home. I really have to thank these 2 jerks for being so easy to provoke. Every move they made fell right into my trap. Misfortune can be forgiven, but betrayal cannot. Seeing that the time was right, I stopped holding back. I logged into my old social accounts and posted all the evidence one by one, accusing Noah of lying. I really have to thank these 2 jerks for being so easy to provoke. Every move they made fell right into my trap. Over the past few days, I figured out the internet's routines. I spent a ton of money accurately setting up the trap. The response post quickly trended, causing an uproar. Netizens love joining the fun, but hate being played the most. My counterattack was swift and fierce. Every photo and video hit Noah where it hurt. With the evidence, he couldn't deny anything. Soon, a media reporter reached out to me. I showed up on camera without fear and detailed Noah's inhumane domestic abuse over the years. The harm people endure can't be erased. Even after all this time, I still tear up when talking about those unbearable past events. I wiped my tears and spoke to the camera clearly. Domestic violence can happen once or countless times. I hope all the sisters out there experiencing domestic violence in front of a camera can stand up and fight back bravely, not just accept it blindly and let it ruin your life. After catching my breath a bit, I continued to earnestly persuade them, don't endure it just to give your child a complete family. Good kids will understand you're saving them from suffering. Bad kids will just side with the evil, and they're not worth your regret. Women first, then mothers of their kids. I'll never let myself have a sharp knife ready to stab me in the back. Countless women suffer from domestic violence. Many have become as numb and submissive as Maria, even becoming accomplices to men. I still hope my personal experience can wake them up. Even if it's just one person, it's a deed with measurable merit. At the same time, I called the bus company where Noah worked and sued him for misconduct. It's a shame for the company to have an employee like him." "Shame," the lawyer retorted angrily. "Of course, it depends on all aspects, but the most important one is the circle of acquaintances." Noah, that disgusting bug, should be stomped and thrown into a stinking ditch, never to rise again in his life. Public opinion went wild. Wherever Noah went, people pointed at him, ridiculed, and insulted him. He was timid and didn't dare to say a word. Honestly, it wasn't surprising. All abusive men have a key trait. They're aggressive at home, but timid outside. No one would have thought Noah, an honest man who wouldn't even step on an ant to death outside, turned into a demon addicted to beating his wife behind closed doors. In my past life, to protect Noah's dignity, I believed the nonsense that family disgrace shouldn't be public. Except for a few close people, I never mentioned Noah's domestic abuse outside. The stronger the contrast, the more Noah's personality collapsed after his bad behavior was exposed. Now he's synonymous with abusive men, called out by everyone, and pointed at wherever he goes. Besides me, the victim, many others suffer from domestic violence. They're outraged and report Noah's bad behavior to the bus company, asking them to fire such a bad employee. The bus company leaders were already annoyed by Noah's affairs, so they used it as an excuse to fire him, citing his despicable character and the huge bad impact on the company. Netizens who had previously rewarded him online also left messages demanding their money back. Noah couldn't handle the massive psychological gap and couldn't even spit back the money he already had. He shut down the comments section and went back to being a shut-in. I saw him build a high-rise, entertain guests, and then watch his building collapse. Angela was originally with Noah because of his internet fame. Now that she failed to gain anything and lost everything, she naturally felt no nostalgia. She just said Noah deceived her, cleanly cut off their relationship, resigned, and ran away to an unknown place. While Noah was hiding and living a drunken life, I hurried home to grab the diploma I'd forgotten to bring. I had wasted so many years of my youth for my family and gave up the chance to continue my postgrad studies. Now it was time to make up for it. The ungrateful daughter was crying on the sofa. When she saw me open the door and come in, she rushed over. "Mom, you finally came back to take care of me. I know you won't abandon me." Haha, this inexplicable confidence. I replied coldly, "You think too much. I came back to get my diploma." The ungrateful daughter stared at me blankly as if she couldn't believe it. I ignored her and quickly found the diploma in the master bedroom cabinet. "Mom," the ungrateful daughter might have been scared by Noah lately. Seeing I was about to leave without even looking at her, she panicked and grabbed my clothes. "Mom, I was wrong. I was so ignorant and blinded by greed before. Please take me away. I really know I was wrong. Apologies help." "What do we need the police for?" I frowned slightly and shook her hand off without hesitation. From the moment my ungrateful daughter stabbed me in the back, she wasn't my daughter anymore but my sworn enemy. She had stabbed me countless times. If I just forgave her so easily, all the inhumane torture I suffered before would really be my own fault. For my ungrateful daughter, I was undoubtedly her lifeline. She rushed over again, holding my arm tightly with both hands. "Mom, I really didn't mean to tell Noah the address of Suho home. I was deceived by him, and then he threatened me." Realizing something was wrong, the ungrateful daughter suddenly stopped talking and didn't continue. My heart skipped a beat. Suho home was where Noah beat me to death in my past life. In this life, thanks to my planning, I never went to City B nor rented a house there. How could my ungrateful daughter know? Could it be that you were reborn? I stared at her, trying to get a clear answer from her expression. She was frightened by my stare, her small body trembling. "Mom, you too." Yes, I was reborn too. In my ungrateful daughter's horrified eyes, I quickly confirmed and then slapped her. I had no reason to forgive her in the first place, and now I have even less reason. Her backstabbing didn't start then, and her sins didn't start at that moment. If she didn't remember the things from her past life, I would have just let her fend for herself. Now that she remembers, don't blame me for seeking revenge. She deserves it. After leaving the house, I'd let her fend for herself. Now that she remembers, don't blame me for seeking revenge. She deserves it. After leaving the house, I pulled Noah's contact info from the blacklist and sent him the recording of my daughter begging me to take her away after turning my kindness into revenge. Note, Keep your daughter in check and don't harass me. Noah is the most narrow-minded. In his mind, both his wife and daughter are his private property. They can only be beaten and scolded by him without any pushback. Now he's extremely depressed and needs an outlet. His daughter's servile behavior, repaying kindness with enmity in front of me, will inevitably spark his rage. Whoever gets cut by the knife knows the pain. The daughter who repays kindness with enmity always said that beating is love and scolding is love, and Noah only hit me a few times, so it's not hypocritical. Then let her handle Noah's overflowing love. Whether she gets beaten to death depends on her luck. Noah is a man of action. He'll take revenge immediately and never wait overnight. That night, the daughter who repays kindness with enmity was beaten to a horrible state, but her luck was better than mine in my past life. I don't know which neighbor couldn't stand hearing her tragic cries and quietly called the police. The police arrived in time and rescued the daughter who was being beaten. Noah was detained for 15 days. However, this was just a family dispute after all. During detention, Noah cried and confessed, saying he recognized his mistakes and would never hit the child again. He wrote a guarantee letter under police supervision and was released. The daughter who repaid kindness with revenge had many injuries and stayed in the hospital for several days. I, a victim of domestic and online abuse, now needed rehabilitation myself. So I couldn't take care of her. The police could only find my mother-in-law who lives in the countryside. My mother-in-law had never looked after the daughter who repaid kindness with revenge and now was scolding her nonstop. "You poor loser. I just hit you a few times, but you dared to call the police to arrest your father. I think you want to die. What are you eating? I'm starving you to death. Go find your bitch mother now. Don't get in my way." Some people are born mean. For the past 8 years, I took care of her wholeheartedly, but she hasn't been grateful at all. She's been sarcastic and dissatisfied with me, stabbing me in the back from time to time. Now, facing the continuous curses from the old shrew for hours each day, I dare not say a word. I can only say that bitches have their own way. This thriving world is just as I wish. The 1-month divorce cooling off period flew by. With bodyguards and many media reporters, I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to divorce Noah. I also paid for the house during the marriage, but now she doesn't want anything. I converted all the money into alimony for my daughter, who repays kindness with hatred, and gave it to Noah in one lump sum. In response, the lawyer indignantly said, "Emma, you're too kind. You should have half of this house. I can get it for you." "No need." I smiled and shook my head. "If you drive a dog into a poor alley, it will backfire." Now Noah has lost his job and only has this house. If it's split in half, he'll definitely do something crazier. Although Noah doesn't know my current address, with today's information advancements, if he's determined to find me, he might locate me one day. There's a thief who steals for 1,000 days, but no one can guard against thieves for 1,000 days. It's better to lose money to avoid disaster and end it completely. As for money, I'm completely free from burdens now. So why fear not being able to make money? The moment I got the divorce certificate, I exhaled a breath of murky air, feeling like a new life had begun. Noah wanted to say something to me, but I didn't want to look at him again, so I left without turning back. As for my daughter, who repays kindness with enmity, I don't know if Noah made her smart last time, or if she completely gave up after knowing I was reborn. She didn't show up at the Civil Affairs Bureau. After leaving, I got into the car under the strict protection of the bodyguard. When I got in the car, the bodyguard sighed with some regret. "Emma, I noticed Noah had an axe on his waist. I thought you'd wait for him to pull it out and then take him down. He'd definitely get sentenced to years in prison for intentionally injuring someone in public. Didn't expect he's a coward." With so many people around, he didn't dare to pull it out. I smiled and said, "He's a coward. Not just Noah. All abusive men are cowards. They only dare to bully their weaker wives and kids, and can't even fart outside." The bodyguard nodded in agreement, and when he spoke again, his tone was relaxed. "Congratulations, Emma, on your new life." "Thank you." I smiled and nodded, subconsciously glancing out the window. At the street corner, a small figure quietly peeked out, watching my car leave with a complicated expression. The daughter who repays kindness with enmity finally showed up. Seeing her thin and frail appearance, my heart twitched for a moment, but soon returned to normal. I can't forget the despair I felt when Noah beat and kicked me in my past life. Even after so long, the pain from his fists is still vivid. I escaped the sea of suffering, all because of my daughter's betrayal. I can never forgive her, or I'd regret it for myself, having once died in despair. I thought the matter was completely over. Unfortunately, I underestimated Noah's cruelty. He didn't let his daughter go to school. He locked her up at home to buy groceries, cook, do housework, and serve him. If she didn't comply, he'd beat her up. The daughter who repays kindness with enmity wasn't someone who'd just accept it. She couldn't stand being beaten and scolded, so she secretly put rat poison in the soup and drank it when Noah was drunk. Unfortunately, the rat poison wasn't up to standard. It didn't kill her, but left her half paralyzed, forcing her to lie in bed for the rest of her life. The ungrateful daughter was smart and insisted Noah was drunk, and that she accidentally put rat poison in the soup as seasoning, claiming it had nothing to do with her. She wasn't even 10, so she couldn't be sentenced. With such a firm statement and no evidence, the case remained unresolved. What awaited Noah was endless torture day after day. That night, I had a long dream. I dreamt that in the past life, after Noah was released from prison, he and the ungrateful daughter spent only a few loving days before he remarried another woman. Not long after the marriage, the woman got pregnant and had a boy. After having a son, Noah became colder to his daughter, who repaid his kindness with hatred. After she graduated from junior high, he didn't let her go to school anymore and forced her to work to support her younger brother. The daughter who repaid kindness with enmity tried to escape several times, but was chased back and beaten by Noah. At that point, she realized my kindness, but it was too late. She could only watch herself being sold to a middle-aged upstart in exchange for a dowry. Every grievance has its perpetrator. She also avenged herself in this life. However, everything here had nothing to do with me. I had already completed the procedures for studying in Germany, and a brand new life awaited me. The future, the road ahead, the road is beneath my feet.